So we're live on Facebook. It's the Florida SBDC at University of South Florida coming to you today. I'm based in Michigan, and my guest, Janina Rosario, wave Janina, is with us in the channel side office in Tampa. We're going to wait probably just about 30 seconds to give people the chance to join because we started a little bit early with the delay. So Janina, what's the weather like there today?
Today it is hot. Humidity is coming up a little bit, and we may be in for another record-breaking day.
Nice. Well, it's supposed to be the end of summer here, but it actually hit 84 degrees yesterday, and the humidity seems high here too. I dressed my child in pants and a long sleeve shirt, and then walked outside, and I was like, oh man.
Redo.
Poor kid. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. Thank you for joining us. If you are watching on Facebook now, be sure to click the link to allow StreamYard to post your name. So when you comment, we can actually see who it is that's asking us questions. Be sure to like, comment, share, or start a watch party if you have other small business owner friends. The Florida SBDC at University of South Florida, just so you know, we do no-cost consulting and low-cost training for businesses in the 10-county Tampa Bay region. That goes all the way down to Highlands Hardy DeSoto, up to Hernando Pasco, over to Polk, and then over to the coast with Pinellas as well. And then some other counties in the middle there. We're joined today by Janina Rosario. She's an associate director with the Florida SBDC at USF, based out of our channel side office in downtown Tampa. Janina specializes, as well as being a director, she also does business consulting for business certification. So Janina, hi again.
Hi.
Please give us a little bit of insight into your background with business certification.
Certainly my pleasure, and great to be here among friends. And I've been working with small businesses now for over 18 years. And during that time, I've had the opportunity to work with all sorts of businesses from an industry perspective, as well as businesses in different stages of their development. From that idea generation, I know I want to be a business owner, but I'm not clear as to what it is, to we've been around for a number of years and we're looking at developing new strategies to grow our business. And what about certification? Could that be a strategy for me to use? So in the last 8 years, a little bit more, I've been spending a lot more time in having those conversations about where does certification come in for my business and my goals, and then what do we do? How do we get there?
Right, and as you mentioned, business certification can be a good growth strategy for a business, but it's not for everyone. So today, we're going to tackle some of the most common questions you get. Just so those of you who are watching know, business certification allows you as a small business owner to sell to the government. You can apply for set-aside contracts, operate as a subcontractor on projects, and it opens the doors to diversity programs with the various state, federal, and even corporate entities, right? Corporate as well. If your business is 51% majority owned by a woman, a minority, or a veteran, certification could present opportunities for your business to grow, but there's a process to becoming certified, and it's different depending on the certification you want to go after. So let's just dive right into Janina's list. And the very first question we have that we're going to talk about today is, what's the difference between state and county certifications?
All right. So it is important for anybody considering getting their business certified to understand that at the moment, certifications are not transferable, meaning if you're certified at the state level, you will be recognized by state agencies, as well as those other departments or agencies or private sector that gives recognition or recognizes that certification or that designation by the state of Florida. The same could be said of the county. However, just because you're certified with the state doesn't mean you will be certified with the county, because these two agencies, and I'm just using these two for simplicity, the
Right.
state versus county, these two agencies have their own method and process of evaluating applications and determining if the business is eligible for such designation. And they all have their different criteria or guidelines that they follow. Some of the biggest differences is going to be time in business, where some agencies like the state does not have a specific time in business that is applied to when an entrepreneur can go through the process and certify their business, compared to some cities or counties that do have a time in business requirement. Therefore, just because you've been in business for a month doesn't mean that you're eligible. Perhaps
So, and when you say time of business, you mean the length that they've been operating as a legal business, right?
Operating is the key word. What we have seen over the years is that sometimes entrepreneurs register an entity with the Department of State and they just leave it there. And then they actually become active and have business transactions, sales, at a much later date. It is from that point on, along with when they acquired their occupational license and other documents, that the clock starts ticking. So if the agency has a time in business requirement, that is what we're going to be looking for. When did you start having those transactions? Not just when did you register with the Department of State?
So one of my questions was going to be, why does everybody require their own certification, basically? Can I assume that that's because they each have different requirements from their businesses that they work with?
And it's primarily is the process, because the requirement, it's going to be pretty standard across the board. As you mentioned, there has to be majority owner. That is being defined as 51% or more owner of the entity. And who is that owner? Is that owner a female? Is that owner a minority person by ethnicity? Is that owner a veteran or service disabled veteran? And then we go into proving not only that you own that 51% or more, and this is in the case that you have more than one owner, obviously. If solo owners, you are 100%, so you're good. But if you do have a partner, that is where we're talking about that 51% or more ownership,
right,
in your documents, control, and management. And those three conditions they apply everywhere, no matter if you are getting certified with the city, with the county, or with the state.
But what's the point of business certification? Does it give me a leg up?
It could. And I always like to be very careful in the choice of words, because it's not a given. Just because you're certified doesn't mean that contracts are going to start coming down the email channel to your business, and there you are. It is a marketing tool. And like any other tool that is available to you, you have to develop a strategy on how you're going to use it to your benefit. So can it give you a leg up? Can it give you an extra point? Can it make you different? Maybe.
Right.
You just have to make sure that you do have a good marketing strategy behind anything you do. You have to be ready, willing, and able, as they say. You have to be the best of the best. And then perhaps at the end of the conversation, oh, and by the way, and
right,
that certification comes up.
Right. You still have to have a solid business. Certification's not just going to automatically get you in the door. I actually have a question here from a viewer. So we're going to go ahead and answer that question now, because we both mentioned the 51%. So who is considered a minority? What groups?
So we have African American, Hispanic Americans, Asian American, and Native American.
Okay.
There are, if you go into the federal list, which is not part of our conversation today, some of those definitions may be a little bit further broken up. But for state and local purposes, those are the 4 groups that we are talking about.
Okay. And if you're just joining us, just a reminder that we are talking business certification today for small businesses. Be sure to like, comment, share, or start a watch party, even if you're watching us on the replay later on today. We're talking about the most common questions Janina gets as a consultant and director with the Florida SBDC at USF. Our second question here is going to be, why is there a difference in certifications? There's more than one WMBE certification. Why is that?
It comes down to who gave that designation. Was it the state who gave that designation, or was it the county who gave that designation? Because at the end of the day, they're still recognizing, in using the acronym WBE, Women Business Enterprise. They're still giving that designation to a woman-owned company. Now, where it is important for that entrepreneur to do research is for the folks that I want to do business with, for that government agency that I want to do business with. Which certification do they recognize? Do they recognize the state WBE, or do they recognize the county WBE? And that is going to then determine which way you're going to go as far as your certification process.
Okay. And
so that it is different because it's still woman-owned is who issues that certificate.
And I would assume you can find a lot of these details with the offices of supplier diversity and that sort of thing, right?
Correct.
Which is great, because on our website at sbdctampabay.com, if you go /resources, we actually just updated that this week to include the OSDs, the Offices of Supplier Diversity. So under resources, you'll see business certifications and OSDs, and you can find a lot of the links you're looking for there if you're looking to get into certification. So third question we're going to cover is, which is the most accepted certification? Because I would bet a lot of businesses want to just do like the overall reaching one, so they don't have to spend a lot of time on it.
And I wish I could tell them which one that is. Because again, it's going to depend on who they want to do business with. So for example, if they want to do business with Hillsborough County, Hillsborough County is one of those few counties that has its own certification process. So the county is going to ask that business owner to go through their process of getting the company certified. They will not take the state certification. So right there, you are limited to the one. But then you have counties like Polk County. Polk County does not have its own certification process. They accept the designations or the certifications from the state, from Hillsborough County, from Pinellas County, from the city of Tampa, as well as the city of St. Petersburg. So now you have options if you are interested in doing business with Polk County. So again, it goes back to who do you want to do business with? That is going to determine which certification you do business with. And using us as USF as an example, we take the state certification.
Well, I was actually just going to ask that. If you want to do USF, what certification do you have to have?
You have to have the certification issued by the Department of Management Services at the state level, Office of Supply Diversity, and the link is in our resources page. And that is the one that USF accepts. So it's great if you already have a county or a city level certification, but to do business with USF as a diverse supplier, then you need to have the designation from the state.
Okay, and I just caught you mentioned city certifications. There are individual cities that require certification as well?
City of Tampa and the city of St. Petersburg both have their own program, their own certification program.
Wow.
Options. And again, for the entrepreneur, unfortunately, there is no one that they can go from one office to the other and say, hi, county, hi, city, hi, state, I have it, and let me in. You have to go through their own processes. Now, it's important for our viewers to understand that we're talking about the certification and the opportunities as a diverse supplier, not that having or not, I guess, not having the certification is preventing anyone from doing business with any of our local and state agencies. Being a vendor is a separate action from that entrepreneur. You can always go in and knock on as many doors as you want without the certification. We're just talking about how that certification could be an additional marketing tool in somebody's toolkit to help improve their opportunities with some of our agencies that do recognize supplier diversity.
Okay, with that said, though, are there specific contracts set aside for those that are certified?
In the local market, and I'm referring to our city and county, we don't use the term
Set aside?
Set aside. Thank you. We use shelter markets or preferred. So the language is a little bit different. The goal is still the same. And the goal is that we being those agencies, those governments, they want to hear from certain businesses for different opportunities. So there is a very complex equation that they go through in determining if an opportunity can be can be sheltered or set aside, as you mentioned, because there are enough certified companies that could potentially respond to that opportunity. When all of those numbers and thought processes come together, then those opportunities come out, and only those businesses that are certified hear about that opportunity. So, for example, let's say electrical work, and that agency happens to have a good pool of candidates that could do the electrical work that the county or the city needs. They will then issue an opportunity just to electrical companies registered with them.
Right. So, but those two terms essentially mean the same thing, set aside and shelter market, correct?
Correct.
All right. And we do have some comments and questions coming in. This is just a comment, but I want to go ahead and highlight it on the screen. Michelle says, women, disabled veterans, minority, Native Americans are typically the ones that she sees in her position. And as the presentation indicates, it depends on who you're doing business with. So thank you, Michelle, for submitting that comment. We're going to move into, I think you've pretty much answered this, but do I need all of the certifications?
Need? No. Can you get them? Probably. Should you? I don't know. I always advise my clients to be strategic with their time. Collecting the amount of documents that are required takes time, and we're busy running the business, running our personal lives. Perhaps we have employees and we have children. So we have so many other things happening in our lives that could you get them all? Sure. Because what we've been talking about with the local certifications and the state certifications, those do not cost anything. You don't have to pay to get certified with our local government as well as our state government. But again, time is money. So if you must you have them all? No, I want you to be strategic based on who you're going to do business with, and then go after those those certifications. Now, if things change and the business has grown and now you have other opportunities and now another certification would be of benefit, you can always do that. So they don't have to be you don't have to plan on getting all the certifications today.
Right.
You can do one today and then work on another one next year based on your strategic plan for growth.
Are there any certifications that cost money?
Yes.
Okay.
There are a number of certifications that are issued by national organizations. We also have some of them on our website. We're talking about women organizations, about minority organizations. We're talking about gay and lesbian organizations, and they do issue this nationally recognized certification. What that means is that it is one certification that is recognized by multiple, not all, but multiple private and public entities throughout the nation. Those organizations also offer other services like networkings and conferences and training, so on and so forth. So they do have other services that they offer. So they do charge for the certification, which also gives you membership into their organization.
I was just going to ask that. Do they require you to be a member?
Yes. And on that case, you have to renew that certification every year. And that's important because now it's not just time, effort, but there's money that is now on the line for those organizations if you want to go after those certifications. But then again, being strategic, perhaps the investment of $200, $300, $400 a year in getting you certified, it's a good investment because then you're getting the opportunity to get in front of companies or government opportunities that perhaps can yield you several $1,000s in revenues.
Right.
So it works.
Okay, so we actually have a question from Eileen again, and this is perfect because it leads right into the next section of the conversation. I want to get certified for a business. I want to get business certifications. What do I do? How does the SBDC help me?
Oh, fantastic. Thank you. So we can start in a couple of ways. We always recommend that the individual, if they're not familiar with the certification that they want, or they don't know where to get it, is to come to the class. It's a very low cost class that we do every single month, where we talk about the local and state certifications. There is a separate class that does the same for the federal space. So that will be one step. The other step is for the business to make an appointment and come in and have the conversation with a consultant. If you go to class, you will be provided a list of documents that are required. So that makes that appointment that much better because now you can come in with your list of documents, complete or as complete as possible, and we can have a conversation and review documents all at the same time.
Mm-hmm. How long does it typically take? What's the process like if somebody comes into you empty-handed, has not done any prep whatsoever, versus if they come into you and have an idea already and a list of things that they need? How long does it typically take to get those two different clients through the process?
Obviously, if you come in and you already know which certification you want and have a set of documents already prepared, that individual is going to move much faster than the person that doesn't know which certification and I don't have any of the documents already in order. So I would say sometimes it takes longer for the business owner to gather all the documents. Because again, like I mentioned before, we're very busy running our business. Mm-hmm. So it takes longer to gather all of those documents so that they can come into our offices and have that no-cost consultation for us to review those documents. And what we're looking for is, do they have every single document they need in order to submit once? Mm-hmm. What I like to do with my clients is reduce the chances of having questions and having their packet kicked back, if you will, because it was incomplete.
Right, and that's the purpose of your consulting time, right? Is to prevent those hiccups and slow the process down even further for them.
Correct. And our local government has up to 90 days to provide a final response, and that is from the time there are no more questions. So every time there's a question, the clock goes back to zero. So again, let's be efficient, let's be strategic here. The state, however, has a policy of providing a final determination within 15 business days. But again, if they have a question, your clock goes back to zero.
Right. Okay. I also want to mention, I think we should mention that USF actually does have a Supplier Diversity Day coming up.
Yes.
Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Certainly. It is October 4th, which is a Friday, and we have information on our website about that event. And as you mentioned, USF has a Supplier Diversity Department, and what they do is that they put together different events every year, but this is the big one. We're going to have different USF departments showcasing those departments. The SBDC will be there supporting not just USF, but also our small business community. And this year, they have decided to also add an education component. So there will be some training provided during the Supplier Diversity Day. And they have partnered with the state, the Department of Office of Supplier Diversity, Office of Supplier Diversity is coming down and participating and bringing other departments from Tallahassee to Tampa. So really bridging that distance between, Tallahassee is so far away. I don't need to consider state certification or doing business with the state because I'm not going to Tallahassee. Well, we do have a lot of state agencies here, so you don't have to travel, but it's good for you to understand what are they looking for.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you go to register as a vendor, and how do you start those conversations with state agencies when you are in Tampa or in Tampa?
Well, I know that is held at the Marshall Student Center from 8 to 3 on the 4th. There's no cost to attend that, correct?
There is no cost.
And as Janina said, it is available on our website. You can find information on our website at sbdctampabay.com, but I've also given you the direct link to the USF Supplier Diversity page as well. So Janina, do you have any final comments or anything else you want to address in terms of business certification?
Please understand that, again, when we're talking about your state and local government, you can do it yourself. We can assist you. You don't have to pay. I recently met with somebody that started getting calls that for $600, they could do something. Again, you can do it yourself. It's your business. It will take a few hours of your time. I can assure you it's not complicated. We'll guide you through it. And I would welcome the opportunity to speak to you and review your documents and make sure that you submit a complete packet and get your certification and develop those marketing strategies and get going into this new way of growing your business through procurement and government contracting.
Yeah, it's so funny that you mentioned you don't have to pay $600 to get certification done, because for me, I do social media consulting for the SBDC as well, and I see that all the time with clients. Well, I paid so-and-so $1,500 to set up my Facebook page and set up my Twitter, and I'm like, it's so easy. It's like literally dummy proof, and you just follow the steps. So use the resources that are available to you, whether they're city, county, or government entities such as the Florida SBDC at USF. I mean, we partner with USF for a reason. We've got strong connections to supplier diversity, and business certification really can grow your business without there being any out-of-pocket cost unless you're going after those national certifications.
Right.
And then just to close out this broadcast, you and I talked about something before we started. You told me about a new certification. Why don't you go ahead and tell the public about the latest certification from our area of our neck of the woods?
Yes. Recently, the city of Tampa, Mayor Castor, made an announcement that the city would be now recognizing the LGBT, the Gay and Lesbians Chamber of Commerce certificate for businesses owned by the LGBTQ community. Again, the city will not be the one certifying. You have to go through the national chamber in order to get that certification. They do have a local chamber with whom they partner. There is a cost associated with it, but what the city is going to be doing in the near future is accepting and recognizing that certificate as part of their of the list of supplier diversity or diverse suppliers, I should say.
Okay.
Just like Hillsborough County a few years ago included veteran-owned, because before veteran-owned was only limited to the state and federal levels, Hillsborough County included that in their designations at the local level.
And there's just so much work to be had in general in terms of business certification with state, city, county entities. I mean, they contract with small businesses for things you could never imagine. So the opportunities are potentially endless for small businesses in the area.
And also remember special districts. So we're talking about water management districts. We're talking about school districts. They are part of our local government.
Yeah.
It's a special district. And many of them also have a supplier diversity program.
Thank you so much, Janina, for joining us today. If you are interested in diving into business certification with your small business, reach out to Janina. Do that by going to sbdctampabay.com/schedule-consultant. Fill out all of the necessary information. It's all confidential. We are government funded, so we just need that information to report back to as who we're helping. It's all confidential at all times. None of it gets shared with the public, and you could be on your way to diversifying and growing your business through business certification. Thanks, Janina, so much.
Thank you.
Have the rest of the day.
You too.
Bye.